33 Biggest Lies in History That Everyone Believed. The Great Wall of China is not visible from the Moon or low Earth orbit with the naked eye. Claims originated from pre-space flight speculation and were never accurate. New York City has no evidence of giant alligators or any colony of alligators living in sewers. The story is urban folklore with no documented cases. The Bavarian Illuminati was a short-lived Enlightenment-era group founded in 1776 that promoted reason and disbanded after about 10 years. It had no global power or lasting influence. Ireland had no native snakes after the last ice age due to geographic isolation. St. Patrick driving out snakes is a metaphor for replacing pagan beliefs with Christianity. Absinthe does not cause hallucinations. Its reputation came from 19th-century French wine industry smear campaigns. Thujone levels are too low to produce psychoactive effects before alcohol poisoning occurs. Disney's 1958 documentary White Wilderness staged lemming mass suicide scenes by herding imported lemmings off a cliff for dramatic footage. Lemmings do not commit suicide. Diamonds are not inherently rare. De Beers created artificial scarcity through monopoly and marketing in the 20th century, inventing the diamond engagement ring tradition and slogan "A diamond is forever." Sherlock Holmes never says elementary, "My dear Watson" in Arthur Conan Doyle's original stories. The phrase originated later in plays and films. Medieval Europeans did not believe the earth was flat. Educated people knew it was round since ancient Greek times. The myth arose in the 19th century to portray the past as ignorant. The Titanic was never officially advertised as unsinkable. The White Star Line used practically unsinkable. Newspapers added unsinkable after the disaster for dramatic headlines. Cleopatra was of Greek Macedonian descent from the Ptolemaic dynasty, not Egyptian or sub-Saharan African. Isaac Newton was not hit on the head by an apple. He observed an apple falling from a tree, prompting thoughts on gravity. The head bonking detail was added later. The Iron Maiden torture device did not exist in the Middle Ages. It was fabricated in the late 18th century as a museum display piece. Abner Doubleday did not invent baseball. The myth was created in 1907 by a commission seeking a purely American origin, denying roots in English rounders. General Tso's chicken was invented in 1970s New York City to appeal to American tastes, not in China. The Trojan horse was likely a metaphor for a siege engine or earthquake, not a literal wooden horse with hidden soldiers. The Battle of Thermopylae involved about 7,000 Greeks, not just 300 Spartans. The narrative simplified to focus on Spartans for dramatic effect. The Mozart effect was based on a 1993 study showing temporary spatial reasoning improvement in college students after listening to Mozart. It did not raise IQ or benefit infants. Charles Redheffer's perpetual motion machine in the early 1800s was a fraud powered by a hidden crank operator. Ancient Greek and Roman statues were painted in bright colors, not left white. The unpainted look resulted from weathering and paint loss over centuries. The American Wild West was not lawless with frequent high-noon duels. Many towns enforced gun control, and violence was more often from brawls or ambushes. Up to 25% of cowboys during the late 19th century cattle drives were African American, many former slaves. Mexican vaqueros heavily influenced cowboy traditions. Nero did not fiddle while Rome burned in 64 AD. The fiddle did not exist, and he was not in Rome when the fire started. He organized relief efforts upon return. Medieval people bathed regularly, with public bathhouses common. Hygiene standards were not modern but not as filthy as often portrayed. Medieval life expectancy was low due to high infant mortality. Those surviving childhood often lived to 60 or 70. The Spanish Inquisition was not uniquely brutal. Torture and executions were common in contemporary European courts, and its death toll was relatively low. Tutankhamun's tomb curse was media sensationalism. Expedition members had normal mortality rates. A Message to Garcia essay exaggerated a real mission for propaganda, promoting unquestioning obedience. Ponce de Leon did not search for the fountain of youth. The story was added later by rival historians. The Priory of Sion was fabricated in 1956 by Pierre Plantard to claim royal descent. It was a 20th century hoax used in the Da Vinci Code. William Tell is folklore with no historical evidence. Similar stories exist in other cultures. Japanese banzai charges were desperate last resort attacks when defeat was certain, not mindless fanaticism. Formal pistol duels in the 18th-19th centuries involved polite letters, seconds, and negotiations, not glove-throwing drama.